أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My beautiful sisters, Jazakallah khair for joining. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. May Allah make this beneficial for you. This is Sisters Islamic Psychology Qalb Momina Book Club, and the topic for Shaban 2024 is related to the book Contemplation, and we will also discuss the 6 M's that prepare us for contemplation, and this is something we discussed at the event with Dr. Abdullah Rothman, and how we can apply the 6 internal conditions inside the Salah. And then I have made this habit tracker that can help us with the transformation during the blessed month of Ramadan, the month of mercy. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for tawfiq. Oh, let's begin with this slide first. What happens when we are stressed? So, my beautiful sisters, you are an amana. You are precious. You are the amana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah created you for Himself. Allah chose you for Himself. Know your worth by knowing your Creator. And love yourself through the eyes of Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Wadud. He loves you. He is the most merciful. He wants to see you happy. So please take care of yourselves. What happens during stress? These are some common defense mechanisms. This actually helps us with some muhasabah, some self-reflection. How is it going for you, my dear sisters? Like we discussed at the event, Dr. Abdullah Rothman, he said that a good way to check in on your state is كيف الحال? كيف حالك? How is your hal? This is how people ask each other in Arabic. How are you? And that doesn't mean what's up or how is it going or how are you doing. It actually means كيف الحال? How is your state? How is your hal? How is your condition? So we need to take care of our internal state. And when we don't, what happens is there are some common defense mechanisms that show up. The first one is displacement. As you can see, when someone mistreats us, we feel frustrated, and we are going to direct that towards someone else. And that's quite commonly, we experience that a lot. And all of these are common. And there is no right or wrong or good or bad in these. It's just a non-judgmental reflection. Next is repression. What happens in repression is when Yeah, it's just that we sit and we keep remembering things and just remembering it over and over and over. Sublimation, it means that we use those feelings to do something productive. So we get that anger or energy out to do something productive. And what happens is regression is our response is similar to how it would be when we um, we were a child. Yeah, all of these are common defense mechanisms, and let us just take a moment and do some non-judgmental self-reflection. Remember, we need to take care of ourselves because we love ourselves. We need to transform because we love ourselves, not out of shame, not out of any negative feelings, but because of the realization. And these are the building blocks for tarbiyah. The building blocks are self-love and self-mercy. So how are you channeling the stress? How are you coping with stress? How does it come out? Is it in the form of displacement or repression, sublimation, or regression? Good idea is to make use of the urgent and important matrix. What are the things that are urgent and important? You do them. What are important and not so urgent? You can just schedule them. And what is not important but it is urgent, you can take care of those things. And what is not important and not urgent, you can even eliminate those things. This is a simple way of reducing your stress by actually having a look at the urgent and important tasks. Mm, yeah. And this is the book Contemplation by Dr. Malik Badri. In the previous session, Contemplative Salah, we actually looked at some passages from Contemplation and also some points about Hudur al-Qalb. Right now, we will have a look at the 6 M's once again. We are revising what we learned at the event with Dr. Abdullah Rothman. So these 6 M's are important for our well-being. So what happens in the first M, Musharaka? Musharaka, basically we set some conditions with the nafs. And since it's Ramadan coming up and in Shaban we are doing the fasts. So setting some conditions to reduce the time we spend on social media, limiting our food intake, limiting our sleep, limiting our social interaction. So, depending on your capacity, depending on your situation, you set some conditions. And then there is the Muraqabah. When it comes to Muraqabah, the most important thing is Knowing who you are. Knowing who you are. Muraqabah helps you go into yourself, beyond the thoughts, beyond the feelings, beyond the body sensations. Who are you? Are you your thoughts? Are you those feelings? Are you those sensations? Are you the body? Or do you have the thoughts? Do you have a mind? Do you have those feelings? Do you have a body? So, the real you, the eternal you are a soul that has come from Allah, that will return to Allah. This is something we discussed in the previous session on contemplative Salah about Alam al Arwah and then the meeting with Allah in the Akhirah and being conscious of who you really are. And during Muraqabah, you are present to your authentic self, your true self, your eternal self as an abd. You are aware of Allah's awareness of you. Allahu ma'i. Allah is with me. Allahu hadiri. Allah is present with me. Allahu nadiri. Allah is lovingly looking at us. Allahu ma'i. Allah is with us. Allahu hadiri. Allah is present with us. Allahu nadiri. Allah is lovingly looking at us. Being with Allah, just being, and there's nothing you have to do but just be with Allah. So, at the event, Dr. Abdullah shared with us Al Muhasibi's 5 steps to practice tafakkur. Number 1, keeping your body still. 2, closing your eyes. 3, not busying your ears. 4, not busying your hands. 5, to be sincere, actively shifting your focus towards Allah, being present to Allah. And the goal of Muraqabah is to deepen our submission to Allah. This comes through practice. Now, it's also a good idea to focus on your breathing during the Muraqabah. When you breathe in, you can count. If you like, you can do some counting. 4 counts in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2 counts. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a long exhale. This deep belly breathing. You can also pull in your tummy while exhaling. So when you inhale, you can breathe in the light, the nur, while reciting the dua of nur, the prophetic dua. Allahumma ja'alni fi qalbi nura. O Allah, Give us light in our hearts. Breathe in the light. You can visualize the light in your heart. في قلبي نورا في اللسان نورا. The light in your throat, your tongue. في سمعي نورا. In your ears. في بصري نورا. In your eyes. في بشري نورا. In your face. في شعري نورا. In your hair. في اللحم نورا. In your muscles. في عظامي نورا. In your bones. في عصبي نورا. In your nerves. في دمي نورا. In your blood. عن يميني نورا. On your right. عن شمالي نورا. On your left. And while reciting the dua of Noor, you continue belly breathing. Inhale, hold, long exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You visualize the protective Noor, feeling loved, feeling safe, like a bubble of light around you. عن يميني نورا, on your right. عن شمالي نورا, on your left. أمامي نورا, in front of you. خلفي نورا, behind you. فوقي نورا, above you. تحتي نورا, below you. زدني نورا, زدني نورا, زدني نورا. The nur starts in your qalb and expands, increases, increases, increases. رب اجعل لي نورا. Oh Allah, make nur for us. رب اجعلني نورا. Oh Allah, make us nur. Ameen. في قبري نورا. This is the nur we carry in our graves. This is the nur that we will carry on the bridge of Sirat on the day of judgment. So we need to work on this nur. We need to work on illuminating our hearts with the ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to practice the muraqabah and deepen our submission to Allah. And the goal of muraqabah is not peace. It is possible to still feel pain. It's possible that you are still in pain, but you are with Allah. You be with Allah and you be with the experience. While breathing in the nur, while being in the present moment. When you breathe in, you can also focus on how the present air, the air, it enters your nostrils. You feel the air enter your nostrils and fill you. So when you focus on this air that is present, you are in the present moment with Allah. Allahu ma'i, Allahu hadiri, Allahu naziri. Allah is with you. Allah is present with you. Allah is lovingly looking at you. And it is natural for the khawatir, for different thoughts to keep distracting you. You can gently bring your focus back to your breath and back to Allah. As you practice that, it becomes easier. Ramadan is the best time to practice the muraqabah. When you feel that qabd, that constriction, you remember the dua of Musa alayhi salam, who said, Rabbi shrah li sadri, my Lord, expand my chest for me. In those moments when you feel that constriction and it is hard to access that place of peace and calmness and safety and love inside you, you ask Allah for the Sharh Sadr. And you keep focusing on your breath. And this is the Muraqabah Musawi, Musa alayhi salam. And this is something that is taught beautifully by Dr. Hassan Awan. He's my teacher from whom I have learned some techniques of Muraqabah. So the Muraqabah Musawi, this involves focusing on the breath and being humble before Allah and asking for the expansion. Then we know the ayah, Alam nashrah laka sadrak. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expanded the sadr for our beloved Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. There will be moments when you experience the expansion. You are with Allah and the joy, the peace, the contentment. At the same time, the feelings of awe, the feelings of brokenness before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the Muraqabah Muhammadi. And we ask Allah to grant us that expansion. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the tawfiq. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to purify our hearts from everything except Him and illuminate our hearts with His nur of ma'rifah. Allahumma tahhir qalbi an ghayruk wa nawwir qalbi bi nuri ma'rifatik. Allahumma tahhir qalbi an ghayruk wa nawwir qalbi bi nuri ma'rifatik. This is the purpose of fasting. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that we may gain that consciousness, the light in our hearts. And our beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam pointed to his Mubarak chest with his Mubarak finger, saying, Taqwa ha huna, taqwa is here. Taqwa is here. The consciousness of Allah is here. So that place, the heart presence, حضور القلب. Now, Allahu Qareeb and Allahu Raqib. In the previous session, I also mentioned this along with the contemplation equation that Dr. Malik Badri, Rahmatullah alayh, he mentioned in his book. So Allahu Qareeb, Allah is near, Allahu Raqeeb. Allah is mercifully watching over you, attentively watching over you. Now after this, we will look at the muhasabah, that is the self-reflection, taking account. And this is important to do daily. And at the event, we also had muhasabah partners. We got some accountability partners. So if you have an accountability partner, that's great. If you haven't got one, feel free to message me. I'm happy to be your accountability partner and help you with non-judgmental reflection over whatever conditions that you set for yourself, and how have you been able to achieve those. Hmm, Now the um, muhasaba, why is it important to do it daily? Uh, Something beautiful that we learned at Dr. Abdullah's event is pay now or pay later. Paying later on the day of judgment, getting all the muhasabah done on the day of judgment, the hisab is being done. That's going to be a difficult day. And that is why it is encouraged to do our muhasabah daily. Take account of yourselves now before the difficult day. So then we have Muraqabah, the consequence or the compensation when you slip. And this is important. It's important that this comes from a place of self-love and self-mercy. It is consequence. In some translations, it is mentioned as punishment, but the appropriate meaning is consequence. It is out of realization. It is out of self-love. When you know that the unhealthy pattern is triggered now, it's better to treat it with the opposite, the zuhud therapy, the opposite emotion therapy. For example, you know you ate too much on one day, you can set some consequences. Like personally, what I do is like when I feel that my pattern, my unhealthy pattern is triggered, whether it has to do with food. If it's with food, I try to fast the next day. If it's with speaking too much, socializing too much, I try to observe khalwa, uh, socializing too much. If it's about speaking too much, then I practice samt, silence. Man samata naja, whoever is silent is saved. So the book that we are doing in the halaqa with Brother Abdul Halim, Degrees of the Soul, we were revising these important things, the muhlikat, the destructive vices, such as speaking too much and socializing too much, or um, delusion and boastfulness, arrogance, hatred, ghadab, envy, and there is a list that we were discussing. And then Ramadan is the best time to purify our hearts from these muhlikat, from these destructive vices. When we keep doing the muhasabah regularly, it is much easier to um, catch ourselves when we do the muhasabah daily, and if we have the muhasabah partner as well, we can have the consequences for slipping. And once again, I remind that these consequences are not based on feelings of guilt or shame or hating oneself. No, this is out of self love and self mercy. And we also learned about mujahada, and this mujahada can be done by increasing the nawafil. Um, it starts with just doing your fard, um, and then you can increase the nawafil incrementally. And if you have suhba, that's great. If you have good company to support you with the mujahada, to inspire you, the seerah and the stories of the Sahaba inspire us. So it's important to keep reading these books, staying connected to the story of our beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. And as we keep doing the mujahada, um, the beautiful thing is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy for us. You take one step, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes several steps towards you. You get closer to Allah by one handspan, He comes closer to you by two handspans. You walk to Allah, He rushes towards you. So Allah makes it easy for you. Allah makes it easy for you. And this is an important hadith, Qudsi, that we need to remember when we are practicing mujahada. Allah is going to make it easy for me. Is Allah. It's easy for Allah. Sometimes when we are stuck in our minds, it gets hard to think about, is it even possible for me to change this pattern? Is it even possible for me to get to the next level? But it is easy for Allah. Remember, and during Muraqabah, it's a good idea to remember this hadith Qudsi that when a believer remembers Allah in his heart, Allah remembers him in his heart. You remember Allah, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Remember Allah, Allah remembers you. Remember Allah in your heart, Allah remembers you in His heart. You mention Allah with your tongue, Allah makes mention of you. Subhanallah. So this is the most beautiful, the most intimate relationship. And we know that all mental health issues, they start from loneliness. And through muraqabah, you start enjoying the khalwa, the seclusion with Allah. You're not lonely anymore in the presence of Allah. You're able to access peace despite the difficult feelings, the sadness, it comes and goes. The pain, it comes and goes. The thoughts of the past and the future. But then that place inside you, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ, the dhikr of Allah, it brings a state of stability. And you can start with just 5 minutes and then increase that to at least 20 minutes. And the mind says that I don't have time for this. There's so much to do. I don't have 20 minutes to just sit with Allah and do nothing. When I sit, I My thoughts go towards what I need to do. I can't just sit. This is how it's in the beginning. I remember how it was for myself. And yeah, practice helps us. And I'm also at your service, my dear sisters. If you would like to practice Muraqabah, please let me know. I'm here to help you through it, inshallah. And then comes Mu'attaba, the inner conversation with the lower self that leads to ignorance. So, the nafs al-lawwama, we keep rebuking the lower self, we keep correcting the lower self. And through all of this, it is important to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The building blocks for discipline and routine are self-love and self-mercy. You discipline yourself according to the pattern, and you take action to recondition yourself, and you put things into balance. Let us have a look at the 6 internal conditions in Salah. We discussed Huzur al-Qalb in the last session. And this is the Muraqabah that we were just discussing. Then the words come from that place of heart presence. You mean what you are saying, and the actions you mean it when you raise your hands saying the takbir. You raise both the hands, you're surrendering to Allah. You raise both the hands, that is the position of surrender. You actually enter into His presence in the state of surrender, and when you do ruku, you mean it. You're actually bowing your desires to Allah. When you do sujood, you mean it. You're submitting your thoughts, your mind. Allahumma laka sajadtu wa bika amantu, the dua in sujood, in Fortress of the Muslim. Allah, I submit my seeing, my hearing, my mind to you. They are humbled before you. Khasha'a laka. So that position of humility. So that's one. And then the fikr, tafakkur. We are going to have a session on March 23rd, inshallah, with Ustada Fatima about tafakkur, and we can discuss more about this. In that session, we look forward to seeing you there, my dear sisters. And this is something we also discussed in the last session. When you love someone, your thoughts go towards them. When you love Allah, you're with Him and you don't want time to end. When you love other than Allah, then your thoughts keep going there. We in the previous session we also discussed the names of Allah that inspire love. Please let me know if you require the recording of that session. Ta'zeem is exalting, magnifying. It is a state of the heart born of 2 cognitions, one of which is the knowledge of the majesty and greatness of Allah. This is one of the fundamentals of the faith. For whoever does not believe in His greatness has a self which does not submit to magnifying Him. This reminds me of the saying of a famous saint when he was asked about Allah. He just said one thing. A person came to him and asked him about Allah, and he said one thing. It's simple and so profound. He said, believe that Allah is better than you. Just know that Allah is better than you. Allah is better than you. Allah is greater. Allah is greater. Even though it sounds so simple, but if we could actually contemplate on Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, then the greatness of Allah, it becomes like the sun in whose presence all the stars disappear. And this is the remembrance of an arif, someone who knows Allah, someone who loves Allah. And this is the dua that we recited just a few minutes ago. Illuminate our hearts with the light of your ma'rifah, Ya Allah, the light that blurs away all the distractions. So this greatness of Allah. The second is the knowledge of the insignificance of the self and of its violence, of its being a creature under compulsion, lorded over to the point that there is born of these two knowledges submission. So now the greatness of Allah, it's like the sun. In your presence, you become so small, so humble. It's just submission and it's just brokenness. Brokenness that I'm nothing, I am nothing. La ilaha illallah. That is when you really mean it. La ilaha illallah. What did the Fir'aun say? Fir'aun said, Ana rabbukumul a'la. I am your Lord. I am the exalted. This is what the Fir'aun said. And what do we say in Salah? Subhan Rabbi al-Ala. Glory. Glory be to my Lord, the Most High. Perfect is Allah, the Most High. So all of us, we have this ego, the Fir'aun inside us. The battle between the ego and your heart. The mujahada. The mujahada. And when your heart presence takes over, the hudur al-qalb, the love for Allah, the greatness for Allah, ta'zeem, when you experience these things, what remains is brokenness, tawadu, humility. There's nothing more beautiful than that. And when this is absent, the muhlikat, the ujub, this is something that we discussed in the book club. If you'd like to get the link of the book club, please do let me know. I will share the link, inshallah. Ujub, self-admiration, that I am something. That is a disease. That is a veil, a curtain that blocks you from Allah. Ta'zeem leads you to a state where you witness that everything is for Allah, by Allah, from Allah. Nothing except Allah. La ilaha illallah. La, nothing, nothing. Ilaha illallah. Allah, except Allah. And then the feeling of awe, haiba, the power of Allah, the might of Allah. He's the King of Kings. And he's in control of everything, everything. All the documentaries that you will see about the universe and about everything. Allah is in control of everything. وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. He has complete control over every little thing. Not even an atom's weight is out of His control. Nothing, even the black ant on the black rock in the darkest night, Allah is the provider for that little ant. Everything that you can see, everything that you cannot see, all the angels, there is no space in the skies, no space, not even the space of 4 fingers in the sky where there is an angel who is not prostrating or not bowing to Allah. The sky is full of angels bowing and prostrating to Allah. The Baytul Ma'mur, which is the Kaaba in the heavens, it is frequented by 70,000 angels every day, and those angels do not return for tawaf until Qiyamah. Every day there is a new batch of angels doing the tawaf, and Allah is in perfect control of everything in the ghaib that's happening. Everything that you see in the world, and it feels like there's some things that are out of control. وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. And I really hope that the session on March 23rd with Ustada Fatima about contemplation will help you with these feelings of awe, which are extremely important for healing. There is this there's this project that I was working on. It's about systematic exposure for people struggling with anxiety and depression. So for the exposure therapy, we were um, we were working on scenes, natural beauty, um, scenes, pictures of the universe and pictures of beautiful places and natural beauty, and an immersive experience for the person so they could experience feelings of awe. And this exposure therapy actually lowers their feelings of anxiety and depression. Alhamdulillah, all of this can be experienced in the Salah, through the eyes of the heart. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take us to the level of ihsan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the yaqeen, the certitude. And these muscles of yaqeen, the spiritual muscles, need to be exercised. And then comes hope, raja. When you know that Allah is gracious, Allah is generous, Kareem. Allah is a Rahman, Allah gives to everyone, everyone. And Allah does not, Allah gives even to the disbelievers. Allah gives to the one who doesn't believe in Him. Allah gives to the one who is against Him. Subhanallah, that is the kindness of Allah, the favors of Allah, the truthfulness of Allah's promise for Jannah. So, whenever certain assurance of Allah's promise and knowledge of His graciousness result, raja, hope, issues from their association. Subhanallah. Then comes haya, shamefacedness. And this is not like the feelings of shame that that is in the Western vocabulary. This is tawadu. This is humility. This is haya. This is the brokenness. This is the realization that whatever I do is never going to be enough, because He is the greatest. Allah deserves so much. Allah, Allah doesn't need any of my worship. It's just that I need this worship. Allahu Samad. Allah is self-sufficient. Allah already has worshippers, both in the seen and unseen world. I need Allah. We need Allah. And this sense of deficiency in your service to Allah and realizing that can never do enough. This feeling of brokenness, this feeling of your inability, your, your inability to perform the great right of Allah, this leads to the feeling of haya. So these 6 things we exercise, these things in Salah. And there's this beautiful dua that I would like to end with. The dua in the beginning of Salah, and this is in the book Fortress of the Muslim, and I keep giving the reference of this book. Please have this book with you. Please keep it with you. Let it be the first thing you look at in the morning. It has the morning and evening afkar and the prophetic words in every situation, because you're going to go through different circumstances, different feelings, different thoughts, and there are the prophetic words that you say in these circumstances, and you experience transformation when you do it with contemplation. So after you say Allah Akbar Kabira, and magnify Allah, experience the ta'zeem, inni wajjahtu wajhiya lilladhi fatara as-samawati, you contemplate over the greatness of Allah, how He created the heavens and the earth. And this is the continuation. Allahumma antal maliku la ilaha illa ant. Oh Allah, you are the King, Malik, sovereign. There's none who is worthy of worship except you. Anta Rabbi, you are my Lord. Wa ana abduk, I am your servant. Subhanallah, your self-identity, your self-concept. There's nothing more beautiful than discovering yourself. Most of the difficult feelings and the crisis is because of not knowing which role to play, the role confusion. And we seek those titles. We want to have that place in this world. What do I do to find my worth? You know your worth by knowing your creator. This is the tagline for the super believers coaching that I do. Know your worth by knowing your creator. Ana abduk, ya Allah, I am your servant. Zalamtu nafsi, I have wronged my own soul. So this is a feeling of haya. Wa'taraftu bidhanbi, and I have acknowledged my sin. Faghfir li dhunubi, so forgive me all my sins. Jami'a, all. إنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. So beautiful. Now you experience hope. You're saying that no one forgives sins except you. Subhanallah. So just in this sentence, you are going through the states from haya and haiba. You start with the haiba, the greatness, the awe of Allah, and then haya, and then raja, the hope. And then this is absolutely beautiful. Wahdini, guide me to ahsan al-akhlaq, to the best of characters. La yahdi, no one can guide to it other than you, Ya Allah. Wasrif anni sayyi'aha, and deliver me from the worst of characters. For none can deliver me from it other than you. So the akhlaq that we are striving for, the mujahada that we are doing, the 6 M's that we are practicing, we want to be who Allah loves. We seek Allah's love. So that's one beautiful dua you may like to memorize. And there are more duas in Fortress of the Muslim. The prophetic words are perfect. In fact, all the situations in our life, they come so that we realize the names of Allah and the words, the dua that needs to be recited so that you become who Allah wants you to be, your self-actualization. And here is the habit tracker. And this might help you in Ramadan. There are 4 weeks here, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And then you have, I've just put in some of the things. The musharata, it could be your fasting, your night prayers, you're restraining your speech, your sleep, and practicing muraqabah, which is the core, of everything. Finding the heart presence from where all the actions, the words, the thoughts, the feelings, everything comes from there, the huzur al-qalb. Then there is the thinking the best in others and wishing the best for them. So avoiding revenge, hatred, envy, finding faults, looking down on others, arrogance, the muhlikat that we discussed in the book club, Degrees of the Soul, and responding kindly to tempers when hurt. And we know that the dua for fasting, when someone wants to fight with you while you're fasting, you say, I am fasting, I am fasting. That is what you say. And you don't fight with them, you actually say, I'm fasting, subhanAllah. So Ramadan is the best time to learn this. Idfa billati hiya ahsan. Repel evil with good. And the one who was your enemy will become a devoted friend. Subhanallah, Sadaqallahul Azim, holy and true are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the truth. When someone is unable to access that good energy, you reply to them with words of kindness. You stay connected to the good energy. You stay connected to Allah. You stay in the state of muraqabah. You don't get out. And if you feel like you have come out of that state of muraqabah and you do not access the Jannah inside you, and remember the beautiful quote, whoever enters the Jannah in this world will enter the Jannah in the hereafter. Whoever does not enter the Jannah in this world will not enter the Jannah in the hereafter. And this Jannah is what you experience in your heart in Muraqabah. Then you're able to stay connected with the good energy and give them good. Repel the evil with your goodness. So it's a great chance to practice your patience, compassion, generosity, humility. Being in that state of humility, tawadu, that you experience in Salah. Salah is that training for you. And even out of Salah, you're carrying that good energy. The moment you think, I am something, then the anger, the revenge, the fight, the evil energy, it gets over you. And then that is why when you're angry, you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. I seek Allah's protection from the accursed shaitan. So when you're in that state of submission and you're practicing surrender, you're able to respond kindly to tempers. So in this habit tracker, you can give yourself a score from 0 to 5 in week 1. Maybe the score is 1 or 2. Maybe the muraqabah is just, at level 1. And then you keep exercising these spiritual muscles and see how far you have come. So give yourself a score between 0 to 5. And then muhasaba, daily self-reflection, avoiding the muhlikat. And if you want to learn more about the muhlikat, I can share the link of the book club, Degrees of the Soul, with you. We will resume that book club after Ramadan, inshallah. Then, of course, enjoying the khalwa seclusion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And etikaf is the best time for that. Apart from the etikaf, there you have the time for tahajjud, and because you're not spending more time eating, drinking, and partying and socializing with others, then you have more chance to do khalwa in Ramadan. So make the best of it, and um, even even virtual khalwa, like staying away from the phone and actually just being with Allah completely, even away from uh, phone. Yeah, I hope this has been helpful. Jazakallah khair for your attention, for your patience. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this beneficial for you. If there's anything good that you have received, it is from Allah. And please forgive me for my shortcomings. I'm a person full of errors. I seek Allah's forgiveness and I seek your forgiveness, and I am at your service, my dear sisters, inshallah. See you again next month. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.